Thank you. I will have to switch to English. Thanks for the opportunity. I want to thank, first of all, my colleague Erika Magonara, who could not make it, and who's like the heart behind this project for the EU Cybersecurity Index. So what's the story of this index? It's a tool to describe the cybersecurity posture of member states in the EU. And we worked in this since 2021, elaborated a little bit on what were the indexed initiatives across the globe and in Europe. So we also had a look at ITU index, on the national member states indexes. We created a framework that describes a set of indicators that are aggregated in sub-areas and are somehow evaluated in a comparable manner. And this proves to be quite a difficult task. We also had some consulting on the DESI, the Digital, Economical and Societal Index that is being used by the European Union. So we were working on this with the member states and the NLOs for a couple of years at least to start and have a first pilot of the European index. And then we only have a functional set of information from the index in 2024 now that has been validated. Why do we need an index, first of all? According to the Cybersecurity Act, ENISA has to achieve a high common level of cybersecurity. So the key word here is common. How do you achieve something common if you don't know what the elements of it are? So what is happening in the member states? So we need to have an understanding on what the regime of cybersecurity is in each member state and to have a reliable information from the member states. The problem is that usually the data is not always systematically available on time from the member states that we use, or the external sources that we also use that are validated, like the Eurobarometer. In some cases, the data is not focusing on cybersecurity, but is mostly focusing on ICT technologies. Not all member states can provide the same data, and it could be used by covering relevant topics like the NIS2 implementation, but we have to pick and match, pick and choose things. And also the member states should be agreeing to make it public, to share it. So that is why we were trying to homogenize the data we would get from member states and from the validated sources we do in order to have something like a common level of security, as we said. Why is it important now? As it has been said before during the day, there is a number of regulatory initiatives across Europe, and we have reached a level of maturity now. We do not regulate more. We need to implement all this stuff together in an alignment and manage to have some eventual evaluation on whether this policy making proves useful for the Union. So that is why the index is really important on evaluating, on having some evidence on whether policy is working towards the direction we want it to work to. Furthermore, on the NIS2 directive, Article 18, there is an explicit reference on a biannual report that we should give, ENISA should provide to the Union, who should publish it, and should have a risk assessment across member states. And it would be a tool to support the evaluation and the design of cybersecurity policies across member states. So this Article 18 report was the task of ENISA for the last year, and it is about to be published hopefully next week. In between, what we have managed to share and is in constant consultation with anybody interested is the framework on how we do the evaluation of the index. So far, that has been constantly evaluated and validated by the NLOs and by us, by taking the information and by reusing it. So I cannot share with you any metrics, any numbers, any type of information on the index itself, but the way we do it is available and totally transparent to anybody that cares to have a look. I think that is kind of all. Do we have the time for questions? Actually, I was fast. Okay.
Suppose yes.
We can also not have questions, it's okay.
I'm very sorry, I am moderator, but Ivan is faster than, how to say, diarrhea in some cases. Anyway, we have a time for questions. Thank you very much for your input. Are there any questions now, or we may collect all the questions after all three speeches around three different similar parts, so indexed topics? So, give it to later. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. So, thank you.